Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana zidna ilma. Allahumma faqihna fid din. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafiya wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. So, in how many days Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created skies and heavens? What was the time period? Six. So, six were the days in which heavens and earth were created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here we are in our session number six, day number six for our 10-day grammar intensive. So, today we are going to learn about types of ma. So far, everyone must have known what is the meaning of anba'u. When you see on my slides anba'u, everyone, because I use this term very many times. So I want you all to be very familiar with any Arabic that you find on my slide. Okay, inshallah. That's the intent. Sometimes so now Catherine, that anwa'u ma means types of ma. Okay, anwa'u ma, types of ma. Anwa'u lamma, types of lamma. Anwa'u laula, types of laula. Anwa'u is, types of is. Okay, inshallah. So now keep those in mind, inshallah. Okay, so now that we have covered, but that we are going to learn today anwa'u ma and what meaning of anwa'u is, let's see how many types of ma are there. So when you look at this slide, it's very busy and you see very different names, lots and lots of names. So how we always start from the very beginning. We go to kindergarten, and in kindergarten, we have learned in Arabic there are how many types of words, how many kinds of words, how many parts of speech Arabic has. There are three. So when it comes to types of ma, there are two types of ma. The types of ma, as you can see on my slide, there are two types of ma. Ma can be harfiya, which means it can be a harf, and it can be ismiya, which means it can be an ism. It can be al-harfiya, which means it is a harf. It can be al-ismiya, which means it is an ism. So from the very beginning, if I asked you how is ma classified, broadly classified, what will be the answer? It is classified into two types. It can be a harf, it can be an ism. Easy. When it comes to harf, do we know about the status of harf? Everyone is familiar that all the haruf, whichever harf I present to you, when it comes to the status of a harf, they can never be rafa, nasb, or jar, or jazm. So they have no status. When not a single type of status is possible for a word or a sentence, it becomes la mahalla laha min al i'rab. I use la of categorical negation. I bring an ism with a fatha on its head without a tanween. La mahalla. Do you hear me? I read it without tanween, mahalla, with one fatha only. It appears to be nasbin status, right? La mahalla laha min al Arab. It has no place in Arab. Not a single type of status is possible for harf, and so is true for any harf of Arabic. Okay, so now that we have covered that ma is going to be of two types, let's see what are the different types there. Okay, so when it comes to ma al harfiya, we'll start from the right side. So ma al harfiya can be ma nafiya, when you see this term, nafia, I want you to be all familiar with this. Nafia is a word that does negation. Any word that does negation is called nafia. Okay, one that negates. So ma nafia is further subclassified into three types. Okay, ma nafia ghair amila, one does not affect any word after it, however it still negates. Ma an nafiya amila, one. This one negates, but it brings some change in the status of words. Ma an nafiya al muhmila, this also negates, and it is going to, however, does not do any change to status of any word in any given sentence. The type 2 and type 3 only can negate jumla ismiya. Type 1 negates jumla failure. Okay, type 1 negates jumla failure, type 2, 3, they negate jumla ismiya. When it comes to the next one, ma masdariya, ma that makes a compoundism, it is of two types. Ma masdariya az-zamaniya, az-zaman, we have been covering this term az-zaman, zarf zaman. What does az-zamaniya mean? So I will like new students who are not very familiar with these terms to type first, okay? And I want people who have done it for so many years in time, to hold back, okay, inshallah. So if masdariya, ma masdariya az-zamaniya means, ma masdariya az-zamaniya means that it is a ma which has something to do with a time. It is a ma which has something to do with time. When it is ma al masdariya ghairu zamaniya, ghair means not, so it is still going to make a compoundism, but it has nothing to do with time. Okay, zamaniya from zaman, which means time. Okay, from zaman, which means time. So ma nafiya, how many types of ma nafiya are there? Who can type the types of ma nafiya? Everyone should. Ma nafiya has three types. Ma masdariya has two types, right? Ma masdariya, two types. Everyone, ma nafiya, one, two, three, right? You see these three. One, two, three. Ma nafiya ghair amila, ma nafiya al amila, ma nafiya al muhmila. Ma masdariya, two types. Ma masdariya zamaniya, ma masdariya ghairu zamaniya. Then is ma lit tasniya. Anyone knows what tasniya mean? Masdariya means anything that makes a compoundism, and something like when you see, I will show you how you're going to cover it. Going to cover it in a minute, okay? We'll inshallah go over it in detail. Tasniya is an Arabic term for dual. Tasniya is an Arabic term used for dual. So this ma lit tasniya has to do something with dual, okay? Then comes ma zaida. Ma az-zaida can be ma az-zaida al-kafa. Al-kafa, and kafa means one that stops, and ma zaida can be ma zaida ghairul kafa, and that means this one does not stop. Al-kafa, one that stops, blocks, right? But this one, there are two types of ma zaida al-kafa, ma zaida ghairul kafa. Oh, everyone with me so far? I know it is a lot of information, but we'll go over it again and again and again, okay? So we have very little time. As long as you are with me, you are focusing, you are going to understand each and every type. Don't worry about it, okay? We are going to know the kafa. Kafa means one that stops, one that blocks, okay? So again, ma nafiya. How many types for ma nafiya? Three types. Ma masdariya, that makes compoundism. Two types. One has to do with time, other does not have to do anything with time. Then ma lit tasniya, ma of dual. Ma zaida, which means ma zaida, which means literally means extra, additional. However, it is there for emphasis. Okay, whenever a word is called zaida in Arabic, when you find a harf zaida, it is generally there for emphasis, because in Quran there is nothing without any reason, right? There is, in Quran you will find nothing without any reason. So ma zaida, though you use this term which means extra, additional, it is there for emphasis, okay? Then comes your ma al ismiya, which is the second type of ma, and it is further subclassified into six types, okay? Ma, which is al ismiya, is further subclassified into six types. Ma al-istifhamia, the ma with which you will ask a question. Ma ash-shartiya, that you have covered yesterday, ma that is has to do with condition, sets a condition. Ma al-mawsula, a connecting ma, which connects whatever is before, after to whatever is before it, right? That builds connection. Ma at-ta'ajjubiya. Ma at-ta'ajjubiya is a ma of wonder, ma with which that is used to express wonder, amazement. Ma al-ibhamiya, which ma that brings ambiguity. Ma al-waqiya or ma al-shay'iyya, which means a ma which has a meaning of allazi. Explanation is coming. It's just, you have to have, just an overview of all different types of ma. Okay. So how many of you are able to have, some understanding that ma is going to be divided into two types, harfiya, ismiya. Harfiya, you are going to further subclassify, like I have done ma nafiya. Ma nafiya further subclassified into nafiya ghair amila, nafiya al amila, nafiya al muhmila. Ma masdariya, which is ma masdariya az zamaniya, ma masdariya ghairu zamaniya, ma litasniya, ma zaida kafa, ma zaida ghair kafa. When it comes to asmiya, al ismiya, ma al ismiya, you will find six types of ma al ismiya, just like today is day number 6 of our intensive. Ma al istifhamiya, ma al shartiya, ma al mawsula, ma al ta'ajjubiya, ma al ibhamiya, ma al waqiya. Okay, everyone with me so far? Alhamdulillah. Okay. Okay, so let's see what is ma nafiya. Ma nafiya is going to be an ma which is going to negate. The word that negates is called nafiya. As I have said before, how many types are there? How many types are there? There are three types of manafiya. Manafiya ghair amila, manafiya amila. It is also called al-Hijaziya. The one that is called amila is also called Hijaziya because it was used by the people of Hijaz. Ma muhmila is a ma which enters jumla ismiya but does not change anything in jumla ismiya. So three types. Ma ghair amila enters jumla fi'liya. The first one enters jumla fi'liya, negates jumla fi'liya. Ma al-Hijaziya and ma muhmila, the 2 and 3, they negate jumla ismiya. Okay, so then when it comes to ma nafiya ghair amila, it enters jumla fi'liya madin and mudare, and it negates both madin and mudare without affecting anything in the fi'l, without bringing any change in the i'rab. Therefore it is called ghair amila. It does not have any, it does not do any action, it just negates. Okay, so then, yes, ma yash'urun, ma yash'urun. Can you see here? Ma has entered into a jumla fail fail mudare. Is there any change in the status of fail mudare that you are seeing? Do you see any change in fail mudare? No, you don't, right? You just translate it as they do not understand. Ma yash'urun, how is it translated? They do not understand. And you don't see any change in the status, right? When you have negation done by lan, lam, lamma, is there any change to fail mudare? When they are negated by lam, lamma, yes. So are they going to be called amila or ghair amila? If there is a change, what should they should be called amila. Anything that brings a change in the i'rab, in the status, is going to be amila. Anything that does not affect the status is ghair amila. Okay, amal, from amal, which means action. So amila, one who does action. Ghair amila, one who does not do any action. Okay, but still has, still functions as a particle of negation. Fama rabihat tajaratuhum, in here ma nafiya ghair amila is negating what type of a sentence? It is negating jumla failya fail madin, right? Rabihat, hiya rabihat, and you are seeing an outside doer after it in the form of tijaratuhum, right? Everyone got it? This one is easy, no change. Ma nafiya ghair amila can negate both fail madin and mudari. Very emphatic. It is very emphatic. Remember, the negation by ma is it brings a lot of emphasis. Then comes the second type of ma nafiya. It works like laysa. It works like laysa. It works like laysa. It, when you have some ma which is going to work like laysa, what type of a khabar you expect? What type of a khabar you expect with anything that functions like laysa? What will be the status of the khabar? It is going to be mansoob. It is going to be mansoob in status. The khabar is going to be mansoob in status. That is why this ma is given this name, ma al amila. Ma al amila. Okay, ma nafiya amila is called amila, or ma al hijaziya is also called amila, because in here when the ma enters a sentence, the khabar of jumla ismiya, instead of staying rough in status becomes Nasbin status. Okay. Yes, I will. After the session, I can share something with you, my dear sister. Catherine, I'm going to share. Okay. So in here, ma haza basharan. Ma haza basharan. Can anyone translate this part for me of our ayah? Can anyone translate this for me? Ma haza basharan. This is not a human at all. This is not at all a human, right? This is not at all a human. Why I'm saying at all? Because ma, a negation by ma is emphatic, right? Is more emphatic. We have covered that. So now when you see here, if I asked you this haza is going to be labeled as ismuma. Basharan is going to be labeled as khabruma. Okay. So in here, this jumla ismiya, just like the parts of jumla ismiya, haza is going to be called ismuma, and basharan becomes khabruma. And is it not what? No. It is ma nafia. It is going to be translated as not at all. Zuvia, it is not translated as what? Okay. This is ma nafia. So it is going to be translated as not. Haza this, basharan human being. Okay. So that is not a topic today. Our topic is in ma. We are not covering that comparison between ma and Laysa, right? This topic is for this day is for ma. We have not covered negation yet, right? So meow, we have to wait for that, okay? Inshallah. So stay on the topic, stay focused, stay what you're seeing on the slide. If you have covered everything before, still stay focused and ask question pertinent to what is being taught. And yes, it is a question pertinent, but in here right now we are discussing the types of ma. We are not making a comparison of ma and Lisa. Okay, no comparison right now. Okay, kinds of ma. Okay, so this ma is going to work like Lisa, and what does it mean? Its khabar is going to be nasbin status. Okay, its khabar is going to be nasbin status. Just like Lisa has khabar, which is nasbin status, ma is also going to be a tool of negation whose khabar is going to be nasbin status. How many of you have understood? Type 1 if you are with me, if you are getting the topic. So instead, in a regular jumla ismiya, what is the status of khabar? What should always be the status of khabar? Haza is ismuma, it is rafin status. Basharin is khabruma, it is going to be nasbin status. Every time you have a jumla ismiya, status of mubtada always should be rafin status, and the status of khabar of standard jumla ismiya is always going to be a rafin status. Okay, remember that. But if there is something which is has an action and is amila like ma, it is going to cause some change in the status of what is coming after. Okay, so in here mubtada is remains rafin status, but khabar becomes nasbin status. So we now call mubtada as ismuma and we call khabar as khabruma. Okay, haza is going to be ismuma, basharan is going to be khabruma. There are rules that must be met for this ma to act the way it acts. Its khabar can never be before mubtada. Can khabar sometimes be before mubtada? Have you ever seen examples where khabar was before mubtada? Absolutely. Very many times khabar can be muqaddam. But for this ma to exert its action, to come in full action, it is important that khabar stays at its own place. Khabar remains at its own place for it to work. Okay, when there is between this in sentence which is negated by ma, in a sentence which is negated by ma, ma al hijaziyah, there cannot be an illa between mubtada and khabar. Okay, there cannot be illa between mubtada and khabar. The second point for ma al hijaziyah or amila to work is that for it to work, it is important that there is no illa between mubtada and khabar. The third point is not pertinent to us because we are doing Quranic Arabic grammar, but grammarians say that the sentence cannot have in zaida, which is again as a particle of for emphasis, because it can, if it is there, it is also going to cause ma to lose its action. Ma is going to only then be a particle of negation. Its khabar will not be nasb status in that case. Okay, so there are three rules that ma must follow for it to have an action. What are the three rules? The first two are very important. If you can have the first rule in mind, that is going to be enough for you guys. Okay, you can, mubtada must be in the beginning and khabar must be after it. Number two, you cannot have illa between mubtada and khabar. Is this clear? Type 1 if it is. Just like, just like with laysa, you can have an additional emphasis. Negation can be further emphasized by addition of ba zaida. We can also have ba zaida with khabar of ma. We can also have ba zaida with khabar of ma. So here, wamallahu bi ghafilin amma ta'malun. Allahu ismu ma bi ghafilin, khabru ma with ba zaida. Khabru ma with ba zaida. Amma is going to be jar wal majroor muta'alliq bil khabar, and ta'amaluna is going to be silatul mawsul of ma al mawsula. Are you all with me so far? You notice how your ismuma is in the beginning. There is no illa between ismuma and khabruma, right? There is mubtada, or your ismuma is in the beginning. Khabar did not come before ismuma. So therefore, all conditions are met. All conditions are met. So therefore, this ma is going to be labeled as ma al-hijaziyah. Okay, there is no illa between mubtada and khabar, or now this mubtada is going to be called ismu ma. There is no illa in between them, and also the khabar is not before ismu ma. Therefore, you can call easily this ma al hijaziya. There can be further emphasis by adding a min zaida to the mubtada, and that is nakira, and min zaida only attaches itself to an ism which is nakira, right? When it is used for as a particle of emphasis, it can only and only attach to an ism that is a nakira, that is common. So that is ma al hijaziya. What is one thing that you should know about ma al hijaziya? What is one point that you should not forget? One point only, if I have to ask you, what is special about this ma nafiya? One point only. What is most important point of information that was important? Khabar is mansoob. Yes, khabar is mansoob is the most important. If you can make it big, if you can make it as big as you can, if you can make it as big as you can, if you can highlight it for yourself in your notes, that is most important thing that you need to know, because all the time in different student groups you will be asked this question: why is this ism nasbin status? Because people don't know what ma al hijaziya is, how it works. Okay, so just like laysa, its khabar is going to be mansooban status. Then comes ma muhmila. Now what happens is that if the previous conditions are not met, so if mubtada is not in the beginning, if there is an illa between mubtada and khabar, what will happen to ma? It will lose its action. Its khabar is no longer going to be nasb status. Okay, it loses its action, and its khabar is no longer going to be rafin status. Okay, or nasb status. Sorry. Okay, it is not no longer going to be nasb status. Okay, so here wama lahum min nasirin. So min nasirina in here, how will you label this? This ma is doing a negation, and there are no helpers at all, kind of a situation for them, and they will have no helpers at all. So in here, lahum jar wal majroor muta'alliq bil, right? Min nasirina How will you label this? Who can tell me? Oh yeah, somebody has already answered. LDO and Ibaba is saying Raf Mubtada. Okay, but that was the previous one. So this is Min Nasurina. This is your Nasurina is your Mubtada. Very good job. Which has Min Zaida. It has Min Zaida. Nasirina is your mubtada with min zaida, right? It was malahum nasirun, but to add an additional emphasis, there is addition of min zaida. There are no helpers at all for them. So min attached to nasirina, and min nasirina mubtada is at the end. Therefore, ma is no longer going to have an action. Again, وَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. Can this ma be called ma al-hijaziyah? Can this be called ma al-hijaziyah? No. Why not? Because your mubtada is at the end. So now it is going to be min khalaqin, which is again your mubtada that has min zaida attached for extra emphasis is going to be your subject has min zaida for extra emphasis. It was وَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ khalaqun, but min khalaqin, min has been added to give not a single share for them in the for him in the hereafter. So this is going to be again ma muhmila, and because the sequence is not there, that sequence has been has changed, the order is not there, so ma is going to be simply called ma muhmila. Anytime there is a change in order, you call ma muhmila. Ma of negation is ma muhmila in jumla ismiya. Anytime you find illa between mubtada and khabar, you call ma muhmila. Okay, is this clear? So in the last one, wama min ilahin illallahu, min ilahin illallahu. There is, you can, one way to put i'rab on this sentence is min ilahin is going to be your mubtada, majroor lafzan marfu muhallan, but that does not matter for this intensive. Allahu is going to be the khabar, right? So this ma is going to be called ma muhmila. No, there is still a lot of emphasis. Yes, there is still a lot of emphasis. Yes, the meaning is all the same. Shaista, the meaning is the same. Grammatically, things are different, but meaning is the same. Okay? Is this clear to all of you that if there is an illa, if there is an illa between mubtada and khabar, if you find illa between mubtada and khabar, if you find your mubtada muakhar, your ma is going to be muhmila. If your mubtada is muakhar, your ma is going to be muhmila. Type 1 if you have understood this. Alhamdulillah. So these were the three types of ma that are used for negation. Ghair amila, which negates both jumla failiya, madin and mudari. Ma al-hijaziya, whose khabar is nasbin status, works like laysa. Ma muhmila, there is no change in status, but muhmila, ma muhmila is that ma in which mubtada is late, it is delayed, it is muakhar, or there is a presence of illa. Okay, next ma that we are going to cover is going to be ma, which on the slide was ma al masdariya. So, but before I take you to ma al masdariya, let me take you to something easy first. Okay, let's cover the easy mas first, and then I will put the slides in order. Okay, the next ma that you are seeing on my slide is ma al istifhamia. This is an ism, right? Ma al istifhamia. If I ask you which category of ma is this, ma al istifhamia, it's a question ma. When the ma is used to ask a question, is it an ism or a harf? When the ma is used for interrogation, when it is interrogative ma, it is going to be an ism. Remember that. And it is used to ask a question about unintelligent being. Okay, it is used to ask a question about unintelligent being. So like any ism, it can have all three statuses. Yes or no? Do you agree? That is it right on the slide? Though the slide says that, but is it correct that just like any ism, it can have rough status, it can have nasb status, it can have jar status, right? Because it is an ism. All three statuses are possible, right? And it is to ask a question about ghair akil, absolutely correct. So when you see here ma launuha, ma launuha, this is what is its color. What type of ma is this going to be? What will you label this ma in your Suratul Baqarah? This part is from Suratul Baqarah and a part of an ayah of Suratul Baqarah. So ma is going to be labeled as ma al istifhamia. Ma al istifhamia. You can label it as mubtada. You can label it as mubtada. when it is followed by, and we can talk about how to label it in a second, but it can be mubtada, it can be khabar. Okay, when you see this ma, ma ta'buduna min ba'di, what will you worship after me? What will you worship after me? The question that Yaqub alayhi salam asked his sons. So the ma was used to ask the question. So this ma again is going to be ma al istifhamiya, right? Ma al istifhamiya. Okay, and this is going to be ma is in here is nasbin status. Ta'buduna min badi, you all worship min badi, is going to be jar wal majroor mutaliq bil. This ma is answering what type of a question? Is this in pertaining to jumla failure? Is it a detail? Yes or no? Is it a detail? Do you agree that this is a detail? Right? It is a what will you worship? You will worship what? So it's a detail. So it is answering your what question. So you call it ma fi mahalli nasbin mafulun bihi. Okay? Ma fi mahalli nasbin mafulun bihi. Is this clear to all of you? The next ma, very famous ma that you see with harf jar in Surah An-Naba, a beautiful, beautiful surah from Juz 30. Amma yatasa'aloon. This this ma, if I ask you the status, give me the status of this ma. What is the status? It is jar and status. So ma al istifhamia, if a question comes in your test, what can be the three possibles, or what are the statuses possible for ma al istifhamia? You can find it in all three statuses. It can be rafin status, and in that case it can be a mubtada or a khabar. It can be fi mahalli nasbin mafulun bihi, just like in this sentence, ma ta'buduna min ba'di. It can be jar if it is beaten up by harf jar. Interesting fact about this ma al istifhamia, the only type of ma among how many, Fashabi, you counted how many ma's were there on the slide? If you can give me the number. No, 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 14 different types. So on the yeah, 14 or 13, so okay, so there's a now ikhtilaf in ummah, so 13 or 14 types among all the different types of ma's that you have seen on the first slide. The only one ma which will lose its alif when attacked by harf jar is ma al istifhamia. Ma al istifhamia. The only one ma that loses its alif when it is attacked by harf jar is ma al istifhamia. If you can keep this in mind, this is very, very important piece of information. Okay. Fima kuntum, in what were you? Fima, it was originally fima, but why the alif got lost? Because it was attacked by harf jar fi. Fabima tubashirun. So in here again you are seeing no alif after ma. Why so? Because this is ma al-istifhamiyya beaten up by b. Mimma khuliq. In here mimma was the original spelling, but alif got lost. Why so? Because your ma al-istifhamiyya was beaten up by min. Everyone got it? If I pose this question on channel, which type of ma among the 14 or 13 different types will lose its alif when attacked by harf jar? All will write the question, all will be able to give the right answer. There will be no 60% correct and 30% incorrect. Okay, inshallah, inshallah. So now see how you are going to give the i'rab. How will you label the ma? Okay, so ma is going to be labeled in either as mubtada. Ma al-istifhamiyya can be labeled either as mubtada or maf'ulun bihi. It can also be labeled as mutaliq bil, as you have seen in the previous slide. It can also be labeled as mutaliq bil when it is attacked by harf jar. Okay, harf jar. So when is it labeled as mubtada? If ism after it is common, you are going to call ma as mubtada. If after it is fail lazim, any fail that cannot accept any object, you are going to label your ma as ma al istifhamia as mubtada. If it is followed by shibu jumla and jar wal majroor, you call your ma as mubtada. If it is followed by ism marifa, it can be also labeled either as khabar or it can be labeled as mubtada. Both will be correct. Okay, and I will show you in a second. If followed by fail nakis that has its khabar, you are going to call ma as mubtada. If it is followed by a passive fail mabni lil majhul, you call your ma mubtada. If it is followed by fail mutaaddin that has its maf'ul bihi mentioned in the sentence, you call ma mubtada. When you find ma followed by a fi'l that can accept a detail, that can take a mafulun bihi, and that type of a fi'l is called fi'l mutaaddin, but does not have its mafulun bihi mentioned, does not have mafulun bihi mentioned, then what you are going to call your ma is, you can call ma as mafulun bihi fi mahalli nasbin. So in here, ta'buduna can take a maful bihi, right? It can take ma'abudu you have seen that it accepts the mafulun bihi, but there is no mention mafulun bihi after it. So when there was no mafulun bihi after it, so therefore you call ma as mafulun bihi muqaddam. You don't call it mubtada in this case, okay? But it is very easy to keep in mind that most of the time it's going to be labeled as mubtada. Most of the time mubtada is going to work. However, if you make this mistake in here, ma ta'budun min badi, you should not make it that now that you have learned about it. So in here, ma hiya, you can call ma mubtada, mubtada, and hiya can be the khabar, but it can also be other way. You can call ma khabar muqaddam, and hiya is can be labeled as mubtada muakhar. In here, ma li hazal, my li got cancelled out somehow. Ma li hazal kitabi, what is wrong with this book? Ma li hazal kitabi, what should be the status of ma in here, which is followed by jar wal majroor? If ma is followed by jar wal majroor, which is shubu jumla, you call it mubtada. Okay, you call it mubtada. Keep in mind, inshallah. Okay, everyone with me so far? The most important thing is, what is the most important thing? Ma, with which you ask question, is an ism. Okay, it is an ism. It can be found in all three statuses. It can be mubtada, khabar, mafulun bihi, and it can be part of your muta'alliq bil. Keep in mind that. Okay, most of the time you can call it mubtada. It can be labeled as mubtada, but sometimes you may have to label it as mafulun bihi, as we have seen on the slide. The next type of ma you have already covered with me. It is ma al mawsula. What type of ma is this? Is it from the right side or the left side? Is it a harf or an ism? Is it a harf or an ism? It is an ism. Very good job. So when it is an ism, can it have all three statuses? Right? Within ism, it can have all three statuses. So it can be mubtada, ma indakum yanfadu, wa ma indallahi baq. So in here, ma mawsula, mubtada, indakum is going to be zarf, inda is zarf, and it is going to be it's silatul mawsul. Shibu jumla in here is silatul mawsul, right? Shibu jumla in here is silatul mawsul. What is with you all, yanfadu is going to get wasted. Wama in the lahi, and what is with Allah, bakin is the one that remains. So in here, ma is going to be labeled as mubtada, yanfadu is going to be khabar, ma in the lahi, ma mubtada, in the lahi silatul mawsul is going to go in the same bucket as ma itself, and bakin is going to be the khabar. Okay, then ma can be a khabar. Haza ma tu aduna li yawmil hisab. This is what you all are promised for the day of accounting. So this ma is going to be labeled as khabar, right? In this sentence, haza is going to be mubtada, ma is going to be the khabar, and as I said, ma al mawsula can be khabar. It is usually going to be in the middle. Usually you are going to find it in the middle, but sometimes alazina and ma you can find in the beginning as well. Okay, so there is always always remember, there's always room for exception. Right. Yes, it can be. It can be. We have seen many examples of that. I showed allazina amanu wa amilu solihati ulaika. And then there was a full khabar after it, right? I showed you allazina example as mubtada, and I think I've shown you this as an example of mubtada, but this is going to be probably, but how you have to understand about Mosul is it's going to build connections. That is the most important job of Mosul. Okay, it's going to make connections. Okay, so then mal mawsula can be your file. Falamma ja'ahum ma arafu kafaru bih. So when what they recognized came to them, they disbelieved it. So this ma is acting as a file for ja'a, right? It is you found it in the middle. Now everyone should be happy, right? So in here, ma is going to be file. It can be mafulun bihi. Ma al mawsula can be mafulun bihi. فَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مِنْهُمَا مَا يُفَرِّقُونَ. So they teach from them to, they learn from them to what it divides, they divide with it, or they cause a separation with it between a man and his wife. It can be naibul file, as in here, zuyina lil musrifina ma kanu yamalun. It has been beautified for those who do israf, what they do. So, and then comes, what is the next function of this? One second. Then your ma al mawsula can be mudaf ilayhi, as you have seen in the first session as well. Mim min tayyibati ma. So it can be jar in status. It can be ismu inna, as in here, inna ma tu aduna la sadiq. Indeed, what you all are promised is true. Then it can be majroor bil harf jar, and as in here, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. So mal mawsula, because it is an ism, you can find it in all three statuses. It can be a part of muta'alliq bil, it can be ismu inna, or it can be mudaf ilayh, it can be file, naibul file, mubtada. It can be one second, it can be your mafulun bihi. Okay. In the second example, can it be mafulun bihi fi mahali nasbin? Yes, you can yeah, you can call it in the second example. Which one are you talking about? Which example? This one you are talking about, innama? Oh no, this is not maful. This one, are you talking about fayata'allamuna min humama? Don't unmute yourself. Bajama, I'm not sure. The question, you can type it. Sajida, I'm sorry. Right now, I'm not able to get what you're asking. If
هذا ما توعدون.
haza ma tuaduna is actually khabar. Haza is mubtada. Ma is going to be the khabar. It is the khabar. Okay. It is a rough in status. It is not nasb in status. It is a rough in status because it is the khabar of standard jumla ismiya. Khabar in standard jumla ismiya must be rough in status. Okay, inshallah. Then comes another ma. Okay. Is this clear, Sajida? Are you with me? If you are understood it, yeah, because that mubtada has a khabar, and khabar in a standard jumla ismiya should always be rough in status, unless there is something that has no, it's innama tuaduna is not, no, yeah, that's incorrect. Let me, Deepa, please think about it one more time. Okay, ma at-ta'jubiya. Okay, ma at-ta'jubiya. Where did we see this one? Now we have, I have shuffled everything. So now tell me, was it on the right side or on the left side? On the right side, you have Nafia, you had your Zaida, you had your Masdariya, and you had your Litasniya. So ma at-ta'jubiya is in ism. It was on the left side, right? So at-ta'ajjub. Ta'ajjub means wonder, amazement, surprise. So this ma, as the name indicates, is used to express amazement, wonder. It is always labeled as mubtada and has jumla failure after it, which is going to be labeled as its khabar. How many of you are with me? This is one of the cases. This is considered to be common. This ma is considered common. This ma is considered common, and this is one of the cases when you will find one of the permissibilities of where mubtada is allowed to be common. Okay, one of the 14 cases when mubtada can be common. This is one of those cases where mubtada can be common. Type 1 if you are with me. So it is mubtada, it is common, therefore nakira. Tamma means it does not need any sila. Amma means very general, and it has a meaning of shayun azim, a great thing, something great. Okay, so it is labeled as mubtada, and it has a khabar which is jumla failya, and felu tu'ajjub is its khabar, and felu tu'ajjub asbara, how patient they are upon fire. May the human being be destroyed. How ungrateful is he? So in here you have ma. In both these cases, it has come in Quran 2 times only, has been used in Quran only twice. So that makes your job easy. If you remember these examples from Surah Abasa and Baqarah, It's all, you're good. Okay, you are good for the rest of the time, years. Okay, so ma at-ta'jubiyya, how many times has it come in Quran? Only two times. Okay, so I'm going to move to the next type of ma. Ma al-waqiyah or ma al-shayya. This ma al-waqiyah, have you ever seen in Quran words like bi'sa, ni'ma? Have you ever seen? These af'al are af'al of praise and af'al of what is it called? Insult, okay? Or insult or blame, okay? The af'al of praise, nema is a fail of praise, is used for mad, and bisa is used to do zam, which means to do what is it called, to blame, okay? So fail of praise and blame, it comes, this ma comes after it. Generally it is going to be labeled as file for those afal. So in here, la bi'sa ma kanu yaf'alun, how bad, how horrible is what they do, ma kanu yaf'alun. So this ma is going to be labeled as file for this fail bi'sa. For fail bi'sa, this ma is going to be labeled as a file. Is this clear to all of you? The next one, in tubdu sadaqat, in tubdu sadaqat fa na'imma, then it is good. Then it is good. So na'imma, how good it is, how excellent it is. So in here, this ma is going to be the file for fail ni'ma, file for fail ni'ma. And what will be the status of this ma in here, which is called ma al-baqiya or ma al-shayya, and is going to be found after bisa ni'ma. You are going to call it file. You are going to call it file. There is another way of treating this ma as well, but how I want you to learn it is in today's session, since this is your first intensive with me, I want you to memorize this slide. Okay, anytime you find mal waqiya after nema bisa, just call it file, and this is going to be correct. Okay, the next ma is ma al ibhamiya. Ibham means ambiguity, confusion. Okay, so this ma is which type of ma? Is it a harf or an ism? Is it a harf or an ism? This ma is an ism, and this is going to be this is called al ibhamiya because whatever is common, it makes it more common, more vague. So let's see how it works in Quran. The most common example, or that you will see, or actually maybe it's the only example that you may find, and if you find more, share with us as well, share with the rest of the group, and share with me, and I can share with the rest. Inna allaha la yastahyi an yadriba masalam ma ba'uda fama fawqaha. Indeed, Allah, He does not shy to present an example, be it an example of a mosquito. So this ma, which is labeled as ma al-ibhamiya, will be labeled as a sifa for this masalan. So masalan, which is an example, became more vague by use of this ma. By use of this ma, you are making it more vague. Now it is going to be translated as any example, be it an example of a mosquito. Okay, so in here, atini kitaban, give me a book. When I add ma to it, give me any book. It can be any book, book of hadith, it can be book by Yasir Qadi, it can be book written by Dr. Omar Suleiman, it can be any book. Just give me a book, I want to read. Okay, so if I have to say, if I have to express myself and that, anything, so after a word that I want to make very vague, what will I do? I will add a ma, which will act as a sifa of that commonism. It is going to always be a sifa of a commonism, and it is going to make it more common. It is going to make it more vague. From example, you are going to translate it as any example. From kitab, from book, you are going to translate it as any book because of the use of ma. Okay, it can be of any status. It is an ism, it can be a sifa for raf ism, it can be a sifa for jar ism, it can be of any status. This ma al ibhamiya can be of any status, but in Quran you find it in nasb status because it is describing a masalan, which is a nasb in status. Okay, so this ma is going to describe a commonism and is going to make it more vague. Ma ashartiya, Again, we have covered it yesterday. It is ma that is used to set a condition. It makes two mudare majzoom simultaneously. Simultaneously, two mudare will be majzoom, can be made majzoom by ma ashartiya because it is from the group which is tajzimul fi'laini. It makes two af'al majzoom. Do you find any two af'al majzoom in the ayah of Surah Baqarah 197? وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمْهُ اللَّهُ وَتَزَوَّدُوا. So in here, taf'alu, fi'lu shart is majzoom, and yalim, which is jawab, is also majzoom, and that is all by the doing of ma ash-shartiya. You have already covered it yesterday. If any confusion, go back to the session, inshallah. Okay, so now, ma zaida kafa. So, as the name indicates, kafa, from ka, fa, fa. It has a shadda, fa has a shadda, from ka, fa, fa, yakufuhum, yakufuna. So, this one, it blocks the ma, which is extra, and does the job of blocking. So, in here, you have innama nahnu muslihun. Innama nahnu muslihun. Have you all covered inna wa akhwatuha? Everyone is aware of inna wa akhwatuha? Inna, anna, kanna, lakinna, layta, la'alla, right? What do? When they enter a sentence, they make mubtada, nasb, and status. In here, innama nahnu muslihun. Why is this not innana? Why nahnu did not become mansub in status? Because ma came and it blocked the action of, it blocked inna from taking any action. It prevented inna to act upon nahnu, and therefore this ma is going to be called ma zaida kafa. It can be found after any haruf nasiba. After laita, it can be kafa or ghair kafa. What does it mean? That after laita ma, you may find, you may still find an ism nasb in status, because sometimes with laita it can be kafa, it may block later or it may not block later. Okay, so it is found after ruba, word ruba. It can be found after certain af'al, talama, qallama, shaddama. Okay, and again it blocks them from acting. Okay, it what it does is it blocks them from from doing any action. What is most important to you to know is the first one that comes after haruf nasiba. Okay, and they no longer can make word nasb status. The ma that blocks haruf nasiba and is not usually translated as what is going to be ma al kafa, a blocking ma, but you can still find inna followed by a ma which is mosula. In here, inna ma tu aduna la sadiq. Sister Diba, that answers your question. Indeed, what? Indeed, what? You all are promised surely is true. In here, this ma is not kafa. Can I call this ma kafa, which I'm translating as ma al ismiya or ma al mosula? No, this is ma mosula. So in here, this is harf nasb wa ismuha, right? So this one is, this is not ma kafa, this is ma al mawsula, and which is ism, right? But in here, innamal mu'minuna ikhwa, can I call this al ma mawsula? No, it's incorrect. This is ma kafa, which is a harf. So you can see a comparison between ma al kafa, which is a harf, ma al mawsula, which is an ism. Innama can have ma kafa. It can also have ma mawsula. When it have ma kafa, ma is not translated. Innama is translated only as only, indeed only. That is the only translation that you do for innama in that case. Indeed only, the believers are brothers. The believers are but brothers. That kind of translation. But in here, when I translated Azariyat ayah 5, innama tu aduna sadiq, indeed what you all are promised is true. So this ma is not going to be treated as ma al kafa, it is ma al mausula. Then comes ma kafa, ma ghair kafa. Now this ma does not stop any action. So you have many a times ma coming after your advatu shart, which is going to be there, but it is just emphasizing everything. It is just bringing in additional emphasis. Iza mabtalahu, whenever he is tested, and this is talking about human being, this ma coming after advatu shart is going to be labeled as ma zaida ghair kafa, right? Ma zaida ghair kafa. If I ask you what will be the status of a sentence which is coming after iza, it was one of your mudaf. You have covered it in session number 4 or 3. So it is going to be fi mahalli jar, because because iza is still going to make ibtila. Ibtila is still going to be fi mahalli jar. Why so? Because it is mudaf ilayhi for iza, and ma is ghair kafa. It did not stop iza from acting upon ibtilahu. Okay. Then comes, yes, kullama, and you have kulla here. Kullama, one of the types of kullama. If you can see, I have not shared that slide with you since I did not go over it with you. So that ma after kullama in word kullama can also be considered ma ghair kafa zaida li tawkid. Then it can be found after harf jar. Amma qalilin, an and qalilin are jar wal majroor. This ma came in between an and ma. Did it do anything to action of an? Did it stop it? Did this un stop? Was stopped by ma? No, it did not stop. So this ma is going to be ghair kafa, not blocking, not blocking. Mimma him, from what? Because of their mistakes. They were drowned, right? So in here, again, min was able to make hati'ati jar in status despite ma in between, because ma was zaida ghair kafa. It is very commonly found after qalilan and kasiran in Quran. So ma, which is found after qalilan, you can label it as ma غير kafa zaida litokid. It can be found between mudaf and mudaf ilayhi. Very interestingly, ayyamal ajalaini. What is making ajalaini jar? Can you figure out what is making ajalaini jar? It is ayya in the beginning, which is making it jar. It can be also found between other mudaf ilayhi. This the other example is a little tricky one, because we still have to do our compoundism, so we can go over this example later. But the first one, ayyama ajalaini, ajalaini is jar because it is mudaf ilayhi for ayya. Okay. Which one? No. You know, it is not, because qalilan itself is very vague, right? It is itself very vague, and it is actually basically what you will do is that this is something off topic, but when you do this ayah, it's actually kind of appears to be the naib for something. So and I will just call it ma ghair kafa zaida li tawkid for now. Okay. Then ma at tasniya, which type of ma is this one? Is this harfiya or is it al ismiya? Which side? Which side were we? Is it an ism arham, or it's a harf? It is a harf. You saw it on the right side. It is a harf. It is seen after three pronouns: huma, kuma, tuma. The ma that you see in huma, kuma, tuma, you are going to call it ma at tasniya. And ma at tasniya is going to be a harf. And since it is a harf, hata, it is coming after hata kaf, the pronouns hata kaf. It is going to be having no status. No status, right? It is a harf. Plain and simple. Keep it as a harf. Then comes your haruf masdariya, which is the last type of ma that we are going to cover. If we have any time, we only have 1 minute, okay? So your haruf masdariya include our an, kay, anna, ma, law, and hamzatul istifham, okay? And in here, in here, you are going to see, no, it's not a file, it is this is how I have covered it. There is another way to cover it as well, sister Rahat. So an, kai, anna, ma, law, hamza, hamzatul istifham are your haruf masdariya, and you have a whole session or haruf masdariya, right? Is this clear? So you have a whole session on haruf masdariya, and since I'm going to cover that topic tomorrow, how about I'm going to end the session here, and ma masdariya we can cover at that time. But one of the types of ma masdariya, which is an easy one, I can cover it just for in 2 minutes. So ma masdariya az-zamaniya. Let's just cover quickly ma al masdariya az-zamaniya. Okay, it denotes time. It is a harf. It is translated as long as. Wa awsani bis salati, and he what is it what's the term that we use for enjoined the salah was zakati and zakah ما دمت أوصاني بالصلاة والزكاة ما دمت حيا, as long as I was alive. So this ma, which is translated as long as, it is a harf. It is a harf. It is a harf that has to do with zaman, with time, and this is harf masdariya. So it means the dumtu, which is a fail coming after it. Ma dumtu. It ma masdariya means that they are going to make a they're going to this ma is going to change the fail and make it act like an ism. And this is we are going to cover this tomorrow as well, but this one is has to do with time. Ma masdariya zamaniya has to do with time. It makes a compound ism, and it is what most important thing is, anytime you find ma which is translated as long as, Malam tamassuhunna, as long as you have not touched them. Mastata'tu, as long as I have ability. Mastata'tum, as long as you have ability. So all those mas that are going to be translated as long as, are going to be treated as harf, and those are ma al masdariya az zamaniya. Okay, as long as is the meaning. Okay, with that I will end the session. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So the one type that has been left is going to be covered tomorrow, inshallah. So let me finish the recording so that we don't get a very long recording.